Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Alright guys, in this video I want to talk about exactly how Kawaki got his karma seal back, which is still a very huge mystery. One of the things that we did kind of think was going to happen was, of course, Isshiki Otsutsuki was going to end up giving Kawaki the karma seal back, but it was still a complete surprise to us when we found out that Isshiki Otsutsuki actually lost to Naruto, Sasuke, and of course Kawaki and Boruto even before he got the opportunity to give Kawaki his karma seal back, which pretty much leaves a big question. How in the world does Kawaki get his karma seal back in the future? Because we obviously see Kawaki with the karma seal after the time skip. Now, one thing that I definitely do want to point out, which is definitely a very big possibility, it's a possibility that Kawaki does not have the karma seal in the future, and of course they retcon that scene, but in my opinion I think that right there is definitely a very small possibility. The writers have already came out and said that they're going to change a couple of things from that scene. I personally believe that the thing that they're probably going to change from that scene is probably going to be only cosmetic things. For example, the outfits, the weapons, maybe the Hokage's stone faces aren't necessarily destroyed, and maybe Boruto doesn't have Sasuke's headband, things like that. But I think something as important as Kawaki not having the karma seal would not be retconned from a scene like that. So of course I do want to give some of the ideas and some of the theories that I have been hearing about so far in regards to Kawaki getting another karma seal. Now I'm going to start off with one of the more interesting theories that I did hear about, and this is going to be the theory of momoshiki giving Kawaki a karma seal. Now everybody here knows Boruto himself, he has a karma seal from momoshiki, but we still don't necessarily know if it's 100% impossible for momoshiki to also give another person the karma seal, and if that was the case, a person like Kawaki would probably be the perfect fit. The obvious question in this particular scenario would be, why would momoshiki do such a thing like this? Why would momoshiki give Kawaki his karma seal? And I personally believe it's a very good reason behind this. After Isshiki Otsutsuki died and momoshiki basically took over Boruto's body and became BoruShiki, momoshiki actually kind of named his plan. He basically wanted to find the 10 tails and feed Kawaki to the 10 tails and basically create another god tree, and then of course create the chakra fruit so momoshiki can eat the chakra fruit after he does reborn to the body of Boruto. But the thing is, Kawaki isn't 100% Otsutsuki yet. Right now, Kawaki is around 80% complete. And because of that, the chakra fruit that momoshiki would actually get wouldn't necessarily be that powerful as a chakra fruit would be if Kawaki himself was fed to the 10 tails around 100% or even 95%. Now, if this right here was actually the situation, it would actually explain a lot of things, to be honest. First things first, it would probably explain why Boruto isn't completely taken over by momoshiki in the future. First things first, if momoshiki wouldn't necessarily have to take over Boruto mainly because the whole process isn't over. Period. Momoshiki would then have to wait until Kawaki's body is 100% complete. And not only that, this could also possibly be a reason why Kawaki and Boruto fight in the future as well. If you guys do recall, I talked about this earlier in this video. We've seen a scene where Boruto and Kawaki are fighting amongst the destroyed Hidden Leaf Village. At that particular time, we could possibly assume that Kawaki himself, if this theory is actually true, you know, of course take that with a grain of salt. If this theory is actually true and Kawaki's body isn't 100%, we understand if Kawaki actually kills Boruto, momoshiki would then be forced to actually reborn to the body of Boruto, which would then release Kawaki from momoshiki's karma seal, and then of course then Kawaki would be free. I personally believe that this right here is a very good theory. The only problem that I do actually have with it is the timeline. As of right now, we understand that Boruto is around 80% complete with the karma seal. I personally think it would probably take Boruto a couple of months to be 100% complete. And of course, if Kawaki is around 80% complete and momoshiki in fact potentially gives Kawaki the karma seal, Kawaki himself would also be a couple of months away from being actually complete. Or we understand that Kawaki's karma seal kind of goes a little bit slower. Let's just say a year at max. That right there would still leave like a whole 2 years in between right now to when Kawaki and Boruto are around 16 or 17 years old in the future after the time skip. So why didn't momoshiki actually make a move during that time period? I personally believe that right there is definitely one of the biggest questions against this theory, but of course that could definitely be explained away. For example, Naruto right now receiving the pills from Amato, that right there could have potentially delayed the inevitable of actually completing their karma seal. Or also it could have possibly been a situation where momoshiki couldn't necessarily take over Boruto's body temporarily because Boruto and everybody else knows as of right now that momoshiki can only do that when Boruto is extremely low on chakra. And of course because of that, I'm pretty sure they're probably not going to put Boruto in a position where he's going to have to expend a lot of his chakra to pretty much give momoshiki that opening. And that specific opening right there could possibly happen in about 2 or 3 years, in which Kawaki would then get the karma seal from momoshiki. Now another possibility of how Kawaki would get the karma seal is of course the introduction of a brand new Otsutsuki member. Now in my opinion, I think that this right here is definitely possible. One of the main reasons why I think think it's possible is because I think that Earth, especially this dimension right here, is definitely going to be under high scrutiny from the Otsutsuki clans. We understand that momoshiki and kinshiki, they're pretty much loyal to the soul in regards to the Otsutsuki clan, and they're probably going to ask some questions like, hey, why isn't momoshiki and kinshiki back, and why aren't they reporting any information? And on top of that, as momoshiki and kinshiki said, the dimension that we're in right now, it has 16 space curvatures, and the limit that you have to report back to the Otsutsuki clan is 10. So of course we understand that this dimension right here is probably going to be frequented by a lot more Otsutsuki members trying to correct the wrongs of these quote-unquote space curvatures. We still don't necessarily know completely what they are, but we think it could possibly be the amount of chakra in a given dimension. So because this dimension is definitely liable to other Otsutsuki members potentially trying to try this dimension or something like that, Kawaki himself is also very liable because it's already proven that Kawaki is actually compatible with the Karma Seal. Now we don't necessarily know if he's going to be compatible with every other Otsutsuki members, but we understand that he is actually compatible with the base Karma Seal. And it's going to be even more glaring in Kawaki's case because he's already around 80% complete. Like, he's literally already 80% Otsutsuki. And on top of that, you can't necessarily rule out the possibility of kinshiki or even Urashiki already having a vessel on Earth and them possibly just waiting a couple more weeks or possibly a couple more months or even possibly a couple more years until their vessel actually becomes 100%, until they actually are able to reborn. So in the future, the Karma Seal that Kawaki actually has might actually be another Karma Seal from a reborn kinshiki or a reborn Urashiki. Again, because Kawaki's already been proven to be compatible with the Karma Seal, and because Kawaki's already 80% complete, he's definitely going to be high on the priority list for a lot of the Otsutsuki members out there looking for a vessel. Now there is another possibility, and in my opinion I think this right here is probably the weakest possibility. It's of course the possibility that humans can also give other humans the Karma Seal. Now this is going to be really a situation between Boruto, Kawaki, and Code. We understand that Code is pretty much compatible with the Karma Seal. We don't necessarily know exactly if he's like, you know, part Otsutsuki yet or not. I personally don't think he is, mainly because he did fall under the spell and the trap of Ida. But regardless, if there is a possibility of them two possibly giving Kawaki a Karma Seal, that right there would definitely be interesting. And it'll be especially interesting in the case with Code. We understand that Code had got his Karma Seal from Isshiki Otsutsuki. It turns out that Code himself wasn't necessarily compatible with Isshiki Otsutsuki, but I personally believe that there is a slight chance that if Code actually tries this method, I think then Kawaki would have Isshiki Otsutsuki's Karma Seal. Now again, as I said, I think this right here is probably the weakest theory of this video, so I want you guys to take this with a grain of salt, but it has already been proven that Code still has a sort of connection with Isshiki Otsutsuki. After Isshiki Otsutsuki died, Isshiki Otsutsuki was literally in Code's subconsciousness, and I think because of that, Isshiki Otsutsuki still has some sort of influence in Code's body. And of course, because Kawaki is already literally 80% Isshiki Otsutsuki, it wouldn't be a surprise to me if Code actually tries this ritual on Kawaki, and then Kawaki would then have Isshiki Otsutsuki's presence in him again. And there's also that tiny possibility that Boruto gets scared and tries to give Kawaki a Karma Seal. In the future, Boruto gives Kawaki the Karma Seal, and of course Kawaki's fighting Boruto because Kawaki doesn't necessarily want the Karma Seal to be 100% complete. That right there is definitely a possibility, but I think that right there is just too headcanon for me. I think it's too much. But let me know what you guys think about these theories in the comment section below, and of course give me your opinion about how do you guys think Kawaki would actually get the Karma Seal in the future. In my opinion, I think this is probably one of the more fun theories that we have to think about right now, because right now we have absolutely no idea. There's no inkling, there's no clues, and of course it's probably going to be super interesting to see exactly how this actually comes to be, and of course if we actually guessed one of these right. But let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Baara, and we out.
It's a knife.